بس آب ووالد منفس قدوس هذا وعمل آمين. بس آب ووالد منفس قدوس هذا وعمل آمين. Name of the Father, name of the Son, name of the Holy Spirit, one God. Amen. Good afternoon and blessings and love. Hope you are keeping well. So today's chapter is 1 Esdras 4, and it continues and concludes this debate of the guardsmen about who was the strongest. We heard yesterday the case for wine, and then today we hear one of the guardsmen making the case for the king, and he talks about how the king, everyone is obedient to the king. They can create war, they cause taxation, everyone labours for them, constructs for them, and everyone has absolute obedience to the king. So obviously this makes King Darius happy to hear that part, but then we hear the next part with Zerubbabel. He makes the case that women are actually the strongest, and he says that even the king can be subjective to one of his concubines, and he takes the example of the concubine taking the crown and striking the king with it. And actually that would even subdue a king for a time because of the power that the woman has over him. But then it continues after that, and it talks about how women give birth to all kings, how kings and men will fight for women, and then it goes on with the different virtues of women and how they are all powerful within society. But then Zerubbabel doesn't stop there. He shifts. So even though women might win the fight, the argument in relation to the wine king and women, he then shifts the dynamic completely away from human power, and he brings the notion of truth into the equation. And he says, actually, truth is the ultimate strongest, even above women. And he talks about how truth is eternal, it's just, it's impartial, and essentially how truth is the umbrella that overarches everything, and how that is the great and the strongest. And Darius is humbled by this, and he concludes that Zerubbabel is the winner of this philosophical debate, and he says that anything that Zerubbabel wishes for, he will be greeted with honouring that command. So then Zerubbabel then reminds Darius of the petition from King Cyrus to rebuild the temple in Jerusalem, and he petitions, gets official letters to gain support, and this is then granted by King Darius, and Zerubbabel is able to take the Jews back to Jerusalem to rebuild the temple. And the chapter ends with the people rejoicing, celebrating their freedom, and celebrating the wisdom of Zerubbabel. So what we hear here is a third narrative about people bringing the Jews out of Babylon and back into Jerusalem. And the actual flow is different to how we hear it, because it started off hearing about how Ezra was the individual bringing the Jews back out of Babylon. But actually, after King Cyrus, then we have King Darius, then we hear how it's Zerubbabel who actually is the first one chronologically in the narrative to bring the people back into Jerusalem, into Judah, to rebuild the temple. And then way after that, we have then Ezra. So once the temple is reformed, we have Ezra bringing the people out, and then he does religious reform of society using the laws. And then we have Nehemiah rebuilding the structure, the walls of Jerusalem, the structure of the city. And then after Nehemiah, the rebuilding of Jerusalem is complete with the temple inside of it. So that's not how we hear it when we read 1 Ezra, Nehemiah, and then Esdras. It's all in a completely different order to that. But once you unpick it and do that historical study, that's the narrative flow of the chronologically that is played out. So I'll now read 1 Esdras 4. Give thanks for these few words. Then the second, who was spoken by the strength of the king, began to say, O sirs, don't men excel in strength who rule over sea and land, and all things in them? But yet the king is stronger. He is their lord and has dominion over them. In whatever he commands them, they obey him. If he tells them to make war, the one against the other, they will do it. If he sends them out against the enemies, they go and conquer mountains, walls, and towers. They kill and are killed, and don't obey the king's commandment. If they win the victory, they bring everything to the king, and all the plunder and everything else. Likewise, for those who are not soldiers and don't have anything to do with wars, but farm, when they have reaped again, and which they have sown, they bring some of the king and compel one another to pay tribute to the king. He is just one man. If he commands people to kill, they kill. If he commands them to spare, they spare. If he commands them to strike, they strike. If he commands them to make desolate, they make desolate. If he commands them to build, they build. If he commands them to cut down, they cut down. If he commands them to plant, they plant. So all his people and his armies obey him. Furthermore, he lies down and eats and drinks and takes rest. And these keep watch around him. None of them may depart nor do his own business. They don't disobey him in anything. O sirs, how could the king not be the strongest, seeing that he is obeyed like this? Then he stopped talking. Then the third, who had spoken of women and of truth, this was Zerubbabel, beginning to speak. O sirs, isn't the great king, and men are many, and isn't wine strong? Who is it then who rules them and has the lordship over them? Aren't they women? Women have given birth to the king, and all the people who rule over sea and land. They came from women. Women nourished up those who planted the vineyards, for where the wine comes. Women also make garments for men. These bring glory to men. Without women, men can't exist. Yes, and if men have gathered together gold and silver and any other beautiful thing, and see a woman who is lovely in appearance and beauty, they let all those things go and gape at her, and with open mouth stare at her, for they have more desire for her than for gold, for silver, or any other beautiful thing. A man leaves his own father, who brought him up, leaves his own country and joins with his wife. With his wife he ends his days, and no thought for his father, mother, or country. By this also you must know that women have dominion over them. Don't you labour and toil, and bring it all to give to the woman? Yes, a man takes his sword and goes out to travel, to rob, to steal, and to sail on the sea, on his rivers. He sees a lion and walks in the darkness. When he is stolen, plundered, and robbed, he brings it to the woman he loves. Therefore, a man loves his wife better than father or mother. Yes, there are many who have lost their minds for women and become slaves for their sake. Many also have perished, have stumbled, and sinned for women. Now, don't you believe me? Isn't the king great in his power? Don't all regions fear to touch him? Yet I saw him and aped him, the king's concubine, the daughter of the illustrious Spartacus, sitting on the right hand of the king, and taken the crown from the king's head and settled it upon her own head. Yes, she struck the king with her left hand. At this the king gaped and gazed at her with open mouth. If she smiles at him, he laughs, but if she takes any displeasure at him, he falters, that she might be reconciled to him again. O sirs, how can it not be that women are strong, seeing they do this? Then the king and the nobles looked at one another, and he began to speak concerning truth. O sirs, aren't women strong? The earth is great, the sky is high, the sun is swift in its course, for it circles around the sky and returns on its course again in one day. Isn't he who makes these things great? Therefore, the truth is great and stronger than all things. All the earth calls upon truth, and the sky blesses truth. All works shake and tremble, but with truth there is no unrighteous thing. Wine is unrighteous, the king is unrighteous, women are unrighteous. All the children of men are unrighteous, and all their works are unrighteous. There is no truth in them. They shall also perish in their unrighteousness, but truth remains and is forever stronger forever. Truth lives and conquers forevermore. With truth there is no partiality towards persons or reward, but truth does the things that are just instead of any unrighteous or wicked things. All men approve truth's works. In truth's judgment is not any unrighteousness. Truth is the strength, the kingdom, the power, and the majesty of all ages. Blessed is the God of truth. With that he stopped speaking. Then all the people shouted and said, Great is truth and strong above all things. Then the king said to him, Ask what you wish, even more that is appointed in writing, and we will give it to you, because you have found to be the wisest. You shall sit next to me and shall be called my cousin. Then he said to the king, Remember your vow which you vowed to build Jerusalem in the day when you came to your kingdom, and to send back all the vessels that were taken out of Jerusalem, which Cyrus set apart when he vowed to destroy Babylon, and vowed to send them back there. You also vowed to build the temple which the Edomites burned when Judea was made desolate by the Chaldeans. Now, Lord, the king, this is what I request, and what I desire of you. And this is the princely generosity that may proceed from you. I ask, therefore, that you make good the vow, the performance of which you have vowed to the King of heaven with your own mouth. Then King Darius stood up and kissed him, and wrote letters for him to all the treasurers and governors and captains and local governors, that they should safely bring on their way both him and all those who would go up with him to build Jerusalem. He wrote letters also to the governors who were at Corialyra and Phoenicia, and to them in Libanus, that they should bring cedar wood from Libanus to Jerusalem, and that they should help him build the city. Moreover, he wrote to all the Jews who would go down and out of his realm up to Judea concerning their freedom, that no officer, no governor, local governor, no treasurer should forcibly enter into their doors, and that all the country which they have occupied should be free to them without tribute, and that the Edomites should give up the villages of the Jews which they had held at that time, and that there should be given 20 talents yearly towards the building of the temple, until that time in that it was built, and that yet another 10 talents yearly for burnt offerings be presented upon the altar every day, and that they had a commandment to make 17 offerings, and all those who would come from Babylonia to build the city should have their freedom, they and their descendants, and all the priests that came. He wrote also to give them their support and priest vestments in which they must minister. For the Levites he wrote that their support should be given them until the day that the house was finished and Jerusalem built up. He commanded that land and wages should be given to all the guard of the city. He also sent away all the vessels from Babylon that Cyrus had set apart, and all that Cyrus had given in commandment. He commanded also to be done and to be sent to Jerusalem. Now when this young man had gone out, he lifted up his face to heaven towards Jerusalem and praised the King of heaven, and said, From you comes victory, from you comes wisdom. Yours is the glory, and I am your servant. Blessed are you who have given me freedom. I give thanks to you. O Lord, our fathers. So he took the letters, went out from and came to Babylon, and told it to all his kindred. They raised and praised the God of their ancestors, because he had given them freedom and liberty to go up and to build Jerusalem and the temple which is called by his name. They feasted with instruments of music and gladness 7 days. For these few words I give thanks, blessed love, for this positive, uplifting chapter. Glory always to God, and God willing, I'll be back with more tomorrow for the next chapter. Blessings and love.